But the other part, when you're an entrepreneur, leadership is this, okay? Leadership is the ability to get the results that are expected of you, okay? Point blank, period. And how we know that is because
What up, y'all? It is your guy Beez with another episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, where we talk about everything entrepreneurship, but with a twist of business acquisitions. And today, we're going to talk about another topic that's extremely important, whether you're starting a business from scratch or whether you're acquiring one. You got to have good leadership, right? You're nothing without your people, without your team. And we got my guy, my dude, Karl Smith Inspires. Let's go. We are about to get in deep, and he's going to explain to us. We're going to pop what it really means to have effective leadership and how it starts with self-leadership. Karl, what's good, brother? How you feeling?
What's good, man? How's it going? How's it going on your side?
Man, I'm good, bro. You know, it's one of them days. You just keep it moving. So many great things happen. We still have obstacles, but we just got to navigate around it as entrepreneurs. Right?
Yeah, man. That's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? It's all about setting a goal, putting something out there, saying you're going to create something, do something, achieve something, and having everything go wrong, right? It's how are you going to figure out your way around all these obstacles so that you can get what you're committed to at the end of the day, right? And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. So I love it, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. And thank you for having me on the show. Man, I've been following you. I've been seeing your stuff ever since we did that event with Brendan Boyd down here in Miami. And man, I tell you, for all those that are watching, this guy right here is the man. This guy's legit. This guy's got the knowledge and he's not afraid to share it with other people. And I think that was one of the things that really attracted me to you, man, when, no homo, but that was the thing that attracted me to you, right? When we were both basically on the panel and we're answering questions and I'm like, yo, you're giving out like a lot of game. And I know you don't like that word, but you were giving out like a lot of tips, a lot of strategies that people usually only find when they buy the books and they read them, when they attend the seminar, when they pay for the course. So just the fact that you're all about helping other people, to be a living testament to what it is that you're preaching, man, is great, man. And I love aligning myself with people like that. So thank you for having me on the show, my brother.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot, man. And yes, I'm all about giving out information. That's why we got Entrepreneurship Exposed here. We got to go into these things because nobody would tell me the information that I was seeking when I was trying to come up. Right. So once I achieved it, I was like, hey, we got to give back. We got to share that info. And I'm not trying to hoard it to then make it a paywall for it. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Because that's not how I make my money. I make my money on acquisitions. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So this is just, hey, I'm just trying to help. We gotta, it's all about what's your ultimate goal. And it actually benefits me. The more people I get into acquisitions, the more partners I'm gonna have in different things. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. It works just like the real estate thing. So I was doing an event last night, and people that are in real estate, you got one type of mentality where you come in, you're trying to hold the deals. You don't want to talk about what you're doing. You don't want to talk about the clients you're dealing with or what territory you're involved with, right? And then you got the other person that's like, this is what I'm doing. This is the project I'm on. These are the properties. These are the investors I'm working with. Like, what do you got? How are we going to collab? How are we going to make this thing work?
How are we going to collab? I love it. That's exactly how it should be. No crabs in a barrel mentality. We're more powerful when we come together and work together.
I agree 100%, man. 100%.
So tell the audience a little bit more about you, man. Tell them your story and, how it led up to where you are now.
Okay. Yeah. Dope. So my name's Karl Smith. I'm the founder of Next Level Success. What we do is we empower entrepreneurs, business professionals, sales professionals with the knowledge, the tools, the resources they need to become better leaders in their field. And by becoming better leaders, we could show you how to have a direct correlation on your business. You could take your business, your team, your results to the next level and create even more success. So for over 10 years, my team and I, we've been putting on live training events. We put on coaching programs, executive programs for top business executives. And we basically showed them and empowered them in 3 areas: leadership development, business growth strategies, and financial education. And we've had the opportunity to work with small business owners, home business owners, and even a few major corporations doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And we basically provide them with the strategies needed to excel and increase their sales, their revenue, their profits. So I tell people, like, if we could help them, chances are we could probably help you guys too. And
hey guys, okay, before we get to the episode, I just had to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting Entrepreneurship Exposed. Your guy Beez here, and just having a great time having these conversations, showing you every aspect of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of things out there that are, seems like all the glitz and the glam, everything looks good, but we want to make sure that you see some of the obstacles, not things that will stop you, but just things that you need to know before you dive into this world of entrepreneurship. If you like this content, you like these videos, please just do me a favor and just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you click the like button, comment on it, just tell me what you feel about each topic so I'll know how to adjust for other topics and have other guests on. And make sure that you hit the notification bell, because YouTube's kind of weird like that, and if you don't have that notification bell, even if you're subscribed to me, you won't see a lot of my content. All right, so if you would like to support us, that would be the best way. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode.
Bottom line is, we just want to help people become what they must to achieve what it is that they love, to achieve what they're committed to. And leadership development is that missing factor for the majority of most people. Most people are looking for strategies. They want that one tip. Give me the one marketing strategy. Or, okay, I want that one script. Let me link up with Beez. Give me that one script, and then that'll do it. And I tell people, you can give the wrong person the right strategy and they won't execute, they won't follow through, they won't hit that goal, right? And if you're missing parts of the strategy, but you got the right person, right? You're an actual business leader in your field, and you find a way, you make a way, you find a way to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It doesn't matter how much information you have or you're missing, you're going to find a way to get it done. So that's what it's all about, man. How do you become that person? How do you become Beez in a nutshell, right? How do you take what he has in his brain, and not just the knowledge of how to do it, but the knowledge of what pushed him through whatever obstacles to be able to get to do it, right? So how do you put that inside of your brain? How do you shift into someone new? And that's what we're all about.
There you go. I love that, man. Because, I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and we were talking about how people come when they're trying to learn from a mentor. They learn what the mentor taught, and then they figure that's the exact thing that they have to do, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's not truly learning. When you learn what the mentor taught and then took it and then executed on it, but then started, trying different things, because that's how business works. Like you said, all the planning, everything's ready to go, and then it completely goes wrong. So how do you adapt? Are you going to go back to the mentor and be like, oh my God, everything that you said, it worked, but then COVID hit and now I don't know what to do. You got to teach me again. No, I taught you what you got to do, but now you got to learn how to adapt. That's the art of being an entrepreneur.
Right. That's right. Yes.
Let's go.
100%, man. And it's all in the pivot, right? So I was talking this with one of my clients just yesterday, actually. And it was basically like, okay, well, we talked about implementing this strategy and we tried that for a month and it didn't work out. And then now you're telling me that we got to basically tweak like this. And I said, Elon Musk is one of my favorite entrepreneurs, right? And did you know that when he started PayPal, right? And that was his first major project he cashed out on, right? And I forgot, it was like $100 million or whatever it was. But PayPal wasn't supposed to be PayPal, right? They were basically looking to create some type of digital form of currency, like cryptocurrency is what they actually started off trying to create. They ran into a roadblock, pivot, boom, PayPal several years later, right? And so Steve Jobs, same thing. When he started his programs and all that stuff, he didn't start off thinking about, okay, let me go ahead and make a bite-sized media player that fits in your pocket that we called the iPod and have that become our breakthrough. No, for him, it was what? It was the software. It was all, we're selling software, not even the hardware of computers, software. And it transitioned into, okay, we do software and the hardware. We got a full computer, not just the software you put in the computer. And then it's like they had some bumps in the roads. They had some success. Then they're about to go bankrupt. And then they go ahead and they transition into a music iPod streaming service. And they came out with iTunes. And that was their big hit that allowed them to surpass Microsoft. And then they didn't stay there because they came out with the iPhone, and that became the number one product in the entire world. It made them the number one brand in the entire world. And they shifted into iPhones. And now 1/3 of the whole goddamn world owns a goddamn iPhone. You know what I'm saying? 7 billion people. You got 1/3 of the people having your product when all you thought you were going to offer in the beginning was software. So when you start off, you're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to learn to adapt. You're going to have to learn to change, because in business, right? In life, they say there's two things you could be certain of, right? And this is what the saying says. It says it's either death and taxes, right? Those are the two guarantees in life. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, a business professional, you actually have two more, and that's problems and that's change. And most people start off saying, I'm going to enter this field because I have a goal. I have a passion. I'm passionate about this, right? I got a hobby that I'm passionate about. And I want to find a way to make money off of this. What they don't realize is you can be passionate all you want. But number two, you're going to need the resources, the people to bring everything together. And while you're bringing everything together, you're going to deal with constant problems and you're going to deal with constant changes. And even when you solve those problems and you find a way to bridge the gap and you got systems in place and you got people in place, all of a sudden getting to your ultimate goal is going to create some changes. Not hitting your goal is going to help you hit some changes. And those changes lead to more problems. Someone wants to quit. I have to hire more staff. I have to hire an accountant to help us with this. I got to find a new business consultant. Now we got to buy more tools. When I thought I was good making this much money, I realized it's really not enough. Now I got to deal with taxes, and that's another problem. So people that have a mentality of trying to avoid problems, oh man, I didn't do this and follow through on my goal because of a problem. And I don't care what excuse you have, whether you're not having enough money, whether you didn't know the business, whether you didn't have the mentorship, whether some of your staff members quit, whether you didn't have the marketing, whether you didn't know the right system to implement, right? I don't care what the problem is. At the end of the day, your job is to find a way to deal with them. That's the role you've been given when you become an entrepreneur. So
definitely, brother. And you know what? Another thing I have to add to it, well, two things. One is that it's a matter of perspective too, right? Because the irony, people will go to college and be broke for 4 or 5 years for the opportunity to make a middle-class income. But then they be in their business for 3 months and not making the money they thought they made. And they're like, oh, this ain't going to work and I'm done. So where's the perspective there? Because it's like, oh, well, if you were in college doing that, you'd have been like, hey, this is what I expect, king of ramen noodles and all of that type of stuff. Business, you ready to give up if it didn't go exactly how you expected it to go. And the truth, like Karl said, it will never go exactly like how you expect it to go. So that's what really makes the difference between the winners in entrepreneurship and the losers. But you focus also on not just the person and how they can pivot and change, but how they lead teams through that pivot and change as well.
Yes.
Right. And explain that a little bit more. The leadership and what truly makes effective leadership. What does that look like overall?
Perfect. I'll tell you. So when it comes to leadership, I tell people what you've been brought up and taught with your daddy's leadership, right? Your grandparents' leadership, the school's leadership, right? Your pastor's leadership is all good. But when you're in the world of the entrepreneur, it's a little bit different, right? People are like, yeah, leadership, I get it. It's not so important because it talks about morality and being a good person and doing what you say you're going to do, because that's the definition of commitment long after the mood you set it in has left you. And they got all these amazing quotes and philosophical sayings. And I'm like, all right, that's okay. All right, fine. And that's a part of it. It is a part of it, right? You do have to be a good person because your talent will take you where your character can't keep you, right? And so what happens is you got to have character. Otherwise, you could be talented, you could lock in deals, but if you're a shady person, people will catch on. No one will do business with you. You'll have a bad rep. So yeah, that's part of it. But the other part, when you're an entrepreneur, leadership is this, okay? Leadership is the ability to get the results that are expected of you, okay? Point blank, period. And how we know that is because the number one reason for business executives to get fired, right? These CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies, they get fired. The number one reason for why small business owners, medium-sized business owners, big businesses, why their businesses will fail is because they failed to execute. You were basically given some type of projection. You were given some type of target by the board. And you as a CEO of your company, if you're running it, right, which we're going to talk about your philosophy on that, which is great in a minute. But for most people, you're starting this off. You're the CEO. And if you're running it, there's a goal, there's a target, whether it's a quarterly target or a yearly target. And for big companies that have all the resources in the world, when they put someone in the highest leadership ranking position of that company, CEO, if you do not meet the objective, you are done. You're fired, right? They say, this is what we want this quarter, doesn't happen. This is what we want next quarter, doesn't happen. This is what we want for the year, doesn't happen. You're out, new CEO, you're in. Let's see if you can make it happen. and they will switch it up as many times as they can because it takes leadership to make real change in a business. And here's what leadership is, right? You basically have the ability to create the results that are expected of you, and you do it through two things. One is decision making. It's your job as the leader to make new decisions. And two, you got to be able to influence. These are the two skills. So decision making is the core, because when you make a decision that you're going to do something, you set a goal and you'd say, here's going to be our plan of action. That's a decision, because there's a million plans to be able to get to where you want to go. You have a final destination. There's a million paths that you could take, right? You could take slow paths. You could take faster paths. So what happens is the leader, the business owner, right? Your job is to make new decisions constantly. When you run into problems, it's, okay, we got to make a decision on how we're going to handle it. Who's going to handle it? What strategy are they going to use? And how are we going to come back to make sure that it's followed through? It's all decision making at the end of the day. It's your most powerful tool. But number two, if you don't have the ability to influence, you can't do it. Okay. So we're constantly using our decision making power and our influence to solve problems, to maximize resources, and to build and develop other leaders. And when you do that, you actually become a bona fide business leader. You can actually become a business leader of tomorrow. So you have to be able to produce those results regardless of where you're at in your company. That's leadership at its purest form when you're an entrepreneur. Now, how do you actually become that person, right? And I'm going to circle around to the second thing with the team building aspect.
And while you do that, I want people to think of it also like in professional sports. How often do they fire the coach in the NBA because they didn't hit the targets?
That's right.
Influence on the players.
That's right.
He's like, we're going to replace you.
Yes, that's exactly what happened, right? Right. What was that team that we were playing here in Miami? We were playing right before we got to the championship. Who was it that we were playing?
Boston.
Man. Was it Boston?
Yeah, Boston.
Man. Is it? So Boston, there's trouble with that coach, or maybe it was the team before. One of those coaches got fired, man. I forgot. And, I love sports. Three of them got fired, right?
Because the Bucks was the first one that we went through.
It was the Bucks, right? Okay, so I was all confused. You're right. That's what it was. So look, man, leadership owns everything, right? When the team is in trouble, what is the owner of the team, or the sports team, going to do? And it doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, hockey, right? Whatever it is. It's the coach at the end of the day. Your team is failing. You can't make it to the playoffs. You're not winning championships. You don't know how to get there. It's the leadership at the end of the day. They want to fire the coach, right? When a company is not doing well, they want to fire the CEO. And even when a country isn't doing well, who do they blame? They blame the citizens of the country. You guys are the reason the economy is tanking. No, everyone puts the blame on one person, even though it takes a series of other people that are all making decisions together. But one person gets the blame, and it's the goddamn president, right? And that's who they want to kick out if the people say, oh, we're not getting what we want. We're not getting what we need. Yeah, the economy's tanking. No, there's no jobs that are out there, right? So leadership is 100% it. And if you take a look, even at the player level, right? You take someone like a LeBron James. What made LeBron James so great was the fact and this is why this Michael Jordan versus LeBron James argument is always going to be this back and forth thing, because LeBron did some things that we haven't seen Jordan do, right? Where LeBron came in multiple times with teams that were failing, teams that weren't succeeding, teams that were like, after he left Miami, he went to Cleveland. Cleveland, I think, was like the second worst team in all of the NBA. They didn't change anybody out. They just put LeBron in. And that first season, they make it to the goddamn NBA, to the finals. Yeah. How is it that you have the worst team in the entire NBA, second worst team with the worst players, and then all of a sudden you get one leader in? They have the ability to affect change in a way that makes everyone else improve. They have the ability to make new decisions in a way that gets everyone else to move a little bit different, to commit to every practice a little bit different, to commit to every game that they play a little bit different. See, it's the leader that has the ability to affect change. And when you put a good leader in a bad situation, they're the ones that have the ability to turn things around. So when people are like, my business is not working, my team's not working, my children are not working, it's not your kids and it's not your team, it's leadership, because leadership owns it 100%. You get what I mean?
Yes.
So here's my formula. I say there's two aspects, right, that you got to focus on when it comes to creating and becoming a great leader, right? So the first aspect is, how do you become that? And we call it becoming the one. Once you become the one, you become a LeBron James, right? You come here, the Miami Heat struggling, to win a championship. They got this team, and team's doing okay. And then you got Dwayne Wade that was doing great, just won his championship with Shaq. But then by himself, can he do it by himself? Oh, it doesn't look like he could do it by himself. You put a LeBron James in, boom, back-to-back 4 years in a row, making it to the championship game, right? Then after that, he leaves Miami, goes to the worst team, second worst team, boom, they make it to the championship game like for the next 4 years in a row. Then after that, you put him in LA, he's old. He's old, he's beat up, but he comes in with an intelligence that moves other people, that influences results and people and all that. And man, he's just done an incredible job. And even though, yeah, you got to look at how many rings did he follow through? You're right. Okay, he doesn't have the ratio that Michael Jordan had when it comes to making it to the championships, but this guy's created more change. He's made more improvements and more players in different teams than any other person, I think, in the history of the game. You know what I mean? And that's why that argument is like, it's just so hard. But anyways, it's all about leadership. You need to be a LeBron James for your business, for your family, for your community, because that's going to give you the ability to affect change. So the formula is this: 4 things you got to focus on. 1, when you identify, here's the target I'm after, here's the business or the project I'm in, you got to find out who in that field is winning at the level you want to win at. So if you want to basically get into acquisitions, right, and you want to buy businesses, I would look at who's winning in this field. Oh, Beez is winning in this field. Beez is doing it. So now most people are arrogant because they're like, oh, I could do it too. I learned what he said at his meeting. I learned what he said on his podcast. I could do it, right? And then everybody becomes arrogant, like, okay, that's going to be enough. And then when they fail, they don't go back to look for the answers. But I say, build a blueprint. If Beez is who is your top example, number 1, what are the attitudes and attributes and mindset that allow him to produce the results that he produces? And most people don't think about this stuff, but there's a mindset, right? Like LeBron James has this killer instinct, right? Michael Jordan has this killer instinct. All the greats in business, in sports, in life, they have this killer instinct, okay? What is it that makes them great and have that killer instinct? How do they think? How do they solve problems? How do they deal with challenges? How do they deal with setbacks and rejection, right? And failure? How do they deal with that? So what's the mindset? And you start listing that thing out, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got it. This is what makes that person who he is. I got to start to become all these things. The second aspect is, what are the skill sets? What skills allow him to produce results? So if I take a look at Beez, my guess would be his ability to maybe prospect over the phone. He could hit up different businesses. He could approach using certain scripts. He has the skill for how to actually close the deal, how to influence someone to sign and negotiate a contract. He has the skill for how to actually recruit. Look how organized your stuff is. You have this podcast you're running. You got your team. I talk like my mind thinks at 1,000,000 miles a second. So I got your team asking me questions and all that stuff, and I can't even look and read and all that stuff. So I'm just going at the top of my head. But you got people here that are doing their part to help make this whole podcast become a success. I know that you're not the one that's editing the podcast. You're not the one that's producing the podcast. You're not the one that's uploading it to all the different streams. You're not the one that's focused on comments and likes and reviews and this and that. You got a team that's in place to make sure. That's a skill, to be able to find the right people, to be able to convince them to work for you as opposed to someone else, right? And then to be able to hold them accountable to doing what they need. Those are all skills. Yeah. So I would identify like, if Beez is who I'm trying to be like, what attitudes and mindset, what skills does he have, right? So we know he can recruit. He has a talent to manage, or he has a talent to find management, right? He's a great talent, a talent scout. He has the ability to put processes and systems in place. He has the ability to sell. He has the ability to influence. So I write that stuff down. And then the third aspect, right, is I look at what knowledge does Beez have? And it's like, okay, obviously he knows what contracts to use in what situations. Obviously he knows what banks to go to in what situations. Obviously he knows what people to partner up with in what situations. Obviously he knows what ways to negotiate in a way that could be enticing to the person that is a motivated seller for their business. Right. So he knows a series, all this stuff. And I would write down the most important things. He knows this. He knows how to do that. He knows this system. He knows this process. He knows people. He knows that. He knows this. And then I would commit to learning those things. And the last aspect, number 4, is how does Beez measure his results? What does he do? Because there's 1,000,001 things you can be doing in any business. And I was doing this event and I was talking to a bunch of real estate agents and real estate investors yesterday. And one of the things we talked about was like, in the world of real estate. And I did it for a couple of years before I became the number one agent in the whole office out of 100 plus agents that I was working in. But I did it for 2 years before I started. They brought me on to kind of like train these agents. And they were like, "You've never done real estate before?" I was like, "No, I never did real estate before." They're like, "How'd you know these scripts?" I was like, "I found someone. There's only one other person that was reading scripts at 8 o'clock in the morning." And they're like, "But how'd you get so good?" I was like, "I heard what he was saying. I started repeating what he was saying." They're like, "But how'd you know to do that?" I'm like, "Everyone else is sleeping and they don't come into the office till noon. And when they come in, the first thing they want to do is grab lunch." I'm like, that's not a winning mindset, right? That's why 90% of most real estate agents make no money. And 99% of most real estate agents will never get to make more than $60,000 a year. And the average real estate agent only does one deal a year. So like, there's a mentality for champions and winners. And there's a way that they measure their results. And even though there's 100 million things that can be doing in real estate every single day, from dropping off keys to showing off properties to negotiating different contracts to creating content to making flyers and passing out business cards. And there's a million and one things. Me, I like to focus on what's the vital few. What are the 3 to 5 things that if I could focus on and keep track of just every day? These 3 to 5 things, if I did them every day or every week, would get me 80 or 90% of the way there. Because if I'm starting off as an army of one and I don't got a team, I don't have a million arms and legs. So I got to focus on the vital key few things. And I would ask Beez, so like at the end of the week, there's something you're tracking. Are you tracking number of calls that goes out? Are you tracking the number of people you're actually sitting down with and doing a negotiating contract with? Are you tracking the number of leads that you're generating? Like, what is it that you're tracking? And Beez would tell me, I track this, and this. He wouldn't say I track all 100 things. He said, no. There's probably 4 or 5 things that I just did. As long as these 4 or 5 things are being met every week, from lead generation to how many people we're getting in front of, to how many deals we're actually closing or negotiating or whatever, he knows these 4 or 5 things will get us 90% of the way there to our goal. And everything else is just supportive tasks, filling out paperwork, getting something signed, right? All that other BS. So you got to figure out those 4 areas. What are the attitudes and mindset? What are the skills, the vital key skills? There's 100 plus skills, right? But then I'd find out what are the top 3 that make these like the man. And then for knowledge, right? What are the top 3 to 5 things that if I commit to studying right now and I get this and I internalize this will make me think and understand and know what he knows? And then what am I going to keep track of? Either every day or every week, not longer than that. Every day, if he says you got to do these 3 things, if I want to be like him, I'm going to do these 3 things. And even though nothing happens perfect, I don't deviate from the 3 or the 5 most important tasks daily or weekly. And I learn to adjust and shift in the process until I produce the results that I want. That is pure leadership. That's how you do it. Now, once you got that and you become Beez, here's how you become a beast. So I was working in entrepreneurship, and I know we're running out of time, but let me just go ahead with this real quick. And I started off at 18. When I started at 18, I was horrible. I was bad, like terrible. And I got involved with selling cell phone service. And I thought it was going to be easy because the person I was learning from was like making 6 figures. He's 22 years old. He's making $250,000 a year. I'm like, I want to be like that guy. And he's selling cell phone service. And I thought if he could do it, I could do it. And then I jump in and I realized it's not easy. My first 2 weeks, no one wanted to be a customer because no one wanted to break their cell phone contracts. My first 6 months, I can't make any sales because I'm still not figuring this thing out. And I'm going to my mentor like, this is not working for me, man. Entrepreneurship isn't it. And he was like, but you said you wanted to join because as an entrepreneur, you got an unlimited income potential. Is that still true? And I said, yeah, it's still true. And he said, you said you wanted to do this because if you could actually get these clients locked in, you would make money every single month without having to get new clients. If you have an existing client base, you're making recurring residual income. Is that still true? Is that still something you want? I said, yeah. And he said, you said that you wanted to have freedom so you could travel and you could help your family out financially and you can get a spot in the middle of downtown that was exciting to you. You said you want to drive a car that was exciting to you. You said you want to live a life that was exciting to you. Is that still true? I said, yeah, that's true. And he said, so how are you going to go do that if you're getting a job at McDonald's working minimum wage, flipping burgers? He says, that's what every other 18-year-old is doing. But he says, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Like, you want to flip burgers? You want to work minimum wage? You want to have a minimum wage mindset? You want to have a minimum wage work ethic? You hang around minimum wage people. But he said, if you want to be extraordinary, because you don't want to be ordinary, you got to hang around people that are doing the impossible.
Yes, sir.
And so he introduced me to personal development. And in 2 years, I finally found myself making six figures, right? By the time I turned 21 years old, it was dope. I was making between 10 to 15 grand a month. And even though my friends for the first 2 years were making fun of me, like, you think you're gonna get rich selling phones? You think you're gonna get rich? You think it's gonna happen? You think you're better than us? Look at you. You're out there. You're working on weekends. 21 years old, I roll up and I got my $100,000 BMW. I'm showing up to school, right? I'm showing up to school in my $100,000 BMW at college, right? At FIU. I'm basically going to the clubs and I'm basically popping bottles. I'm traveling. I'm going to places like New York and Chicago and LA just because. And I'm networking with other people. They're like, damn, yo, Karl's traveling. Karl's doing this. Karl's meeting with millionaires and all that. And it's like, yeah, because I got my mind right. I focused on me first, right? But at 21, when I hit that level, the next year, my mentor said, Karl, it's your job to start an agency. And I said, huh? And he says, you got to get a lease and you got to do what I do. He says, go get a spot, get a lease, $5,000 a month. And I'm like, $5,000 a month? I was like, I'm making 10. That's going to be half or 1/3 of my money. And I'm like, yo, like, I can't do that. I'm just a kid. And he goes, look, man, he says, you found a way to overcome all the challenges and obstacles at this level. Now I'm going to show you the framework. I'm going to show you the formula. And he did. And at 22 years old, I find myself in an office and me and 3 other people that partnered with me recruit over 1,000 sales agents in our team. Okay. So by the time I was 22 years old, we have 1,000 people on our team. Our business is doing just under $10 million in revenue. And I was like, God damn. And by 25, 26, I was partnered up with this company that was offering the cell phones and TV and internet. And they made me a VP of sales for the company. And the company itself was doing 800 million in revenue. But they were like, we want you to show us what you did for your blueprint, your tactics, your strategies to build such a big sales team that can't even fit in the office. I had to have my people working from home. And they're like, where do you place these people? I was like, well, I didn't want to get a facility. So I just advertised work from home opportunity. We have stuff for them to do at home. And then we have a manager to keep track of their numbers every single day at the end of the day. And they're like, God damn. And they're like, help us do that with our company. And they had me opening up new territories in new cities all over the country. And then eventually in Canada and even in France. And the crazy thing about it was I just learned the formula for how to build a team. So here's what the formula for building a team is. Very simple. The first formula we talked about is becoming the one. What's the attitudes and mindset that made me a six-figure earner by 21? What are the skill sets? What type of knowledge did I have, right, on the processes? And what were the 3 things? I only kept track of 3. It's how many new leads did I generate for today? How many presentations did I do for today? And how many people do I have closing conversations with for today? That is it. Those are my 3 things. And when we taught our people, if you just focus on 3 things, you have 8 hours, 10 hours. My guys were like, yo, I had people sleeping in their cars. Like, yo, I want to learn from you. I want to be around you. I'll sleep in my car if you just teach me. Because once you become the one, you become an example. And once you become an example, you now have the power to inspire and teach and train other people to be that same person, to be that same example, to be that same leader. So I had these 18, 21, 22-year-old kids that were like, yo, I'll do whatever just to learn. And those were the hungry people that I said, all right. So for me, I had to learn this mindset, this skill set, this knowledge base. And these are the 3 things that I measured. You people, you're serious. You're going to be part of our internal crew. We call them the rising stars. You guys are going to be the ones I'm committed to helping making 6 figures in the next year or 2 years. These are the 3 things we're going to track daily. Here are the audio tapes and books that you're going to need to read. Here are all the trainings that I'm going to do that you have to show up to every single time because you're constantly working on you. Here are all the things that you have to be practicing on a weekly and monthly basis. And you're going to see that as you grow your level of you, your results increase. And by building up a team of monsters and assassins, we call them ninjas. That's what we did, man. We just created a story base where when people would come to the office, they saw Beamer, Mercedes, Porsche, Beamer, Mercedes, Porsche, Bentley, Lamborghini, Ferrari eventually. And everyone else can't help but take notice. And they're like, yo, how do I become part of this team? And that's how we just grew. But you got to be the example. And when you, as a business owner, right, and you don't have to go recruit 1,000 people. This could be for the mom and pop shop that owns the restaurant. This could be for the real estate sales agency. This could be for the dry cleaners. Like, if you have people that are helping you out, most people hire based on a resume. And they say, how many years experience do you have? And what type of degree do you have? I say we don't hire resumes. I hire for personalities. Because if the attitude is right, the skills can be taught. The skills will be learned.
Yes.
So we have that blueprint set up for every role and every position. And if you can get your administrative assistants to understand what are the attitudes and mindset they need to be the best administrative assistant, what are the skill sets they need, what's the knowledge they need, and what are the 3 to 5 things we track every week. Then you go to your inside sales agent, same exact thing. Then you go to your manager. What mindset do they need to have? They need to know how to deal with people. They need to know how to deal with problems. They can't get frustrated. They can't take their anger from home and bring it to the office. They got to have a special type of leadership mentality if you're going to be a manager that's managing my people, right? So we identify attitudes, skill sets, knowledge, and what do we do? What are the results we track? And you do that for every role, you're going to help your people elevate from 3s to 5s, from 5s to 10s. And when you have 10s all across the board, you're unstoppable. That's your ultimate competitive advantage, my man. So anyways, just want to drop some bombs.
No, you just went in, man. That's, listen. And I love everything you were saying because it relates to in corporate America. I'm talking about in real corporate America, not even the small mom and pop stuff. I'm talking about Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah, same exact thing.
We're doing process systems for people, how we scale. But when we're talking about those things, we're talking about like what you were mentioning in terms of what to track. So yeah, you're going to have a ton of metrics. There's a ton of things that you may be looking at, but your KPIs, your key performance indicators, that's the ones that matter the most to you, to the success of your business. And it may change over time too, because you have to keep going back and looking at it and saying, oh, hey, where are we trying to go? Where are we now? Are these the right metrics to measure that we're going to get to where we want to go? And then once we hit where we want to go, we want to pause for a second and say, okay, did we hit it? What happened in that process to hit it? And now we plan for the next goal post and, how we're going to reach there as well. So I love that you're talking about metrics. I love that you're talking about understanding what the person you want to emulate, what they're doing so that you could do it too. And then to be a more effective leader, look at yourself and answer those questions that Karl was saying. Well, okay, I've been running and everything is going good, but what do I need to track? Okay, what are the skills that I have? Oh, those I have. What am I missing? It's like you're doing a personal SWOT. You're doing a personal SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then that helps you to develop even more. So I love it, brother. I love it, man. I wish we could go even deeper on this because this is key. This is important whether you build your business from scratch or you do like me and you go acquire one, right? Because we still gonna have problems. We're gonna go into, it's so funny because I'm dealing with one company right now with there's somebody that quit and it was a key person that we really wanted.
Right there.
Keep going, business keep going. We find we on Indeed and LinkedIn and Monster, and then we hiring more people coming in and we do what we got to do.
Exactly. So, and I'll tell you, man, starting from like getting to that point, by the way, congratulations on your last acquisition, man, the $20 million in revenue. Beautiful, man. That right there, amazing. And I think one of the reasons for why you've gotten yourself to a level where you could even become someone that's capable of pulling off a deal like that. And I know other people can too, but there's definitely certain qualities, right? That makes you the type of person that could go do that over and over and over and over and over again. But I think the skill sets that you learn are at the bottom of the valley on your way up to the top, right? And so all the stuff that you've learned by building businesses, by figuring stuff out, by dealing with how to deal with challenges, by learning how to deal with those challenges, learning how to deal with setbacks, learning how to deal with your first hire or the first key player leaving the company, like those are all learning experiences, man. And as long as you're learning from every failure and setback, it's not a failure as long as you learn from it, right? And then that is what elevates you as a business leader.
They're definitely, bro. We don't take losses. We just
that's it.
Those L's are lessons. And we keep moving it forward. All right. So before we start to wrap it up, we have to do our segment of popping because we need to this industry. We need to pop this entire concept of leadership. So I just want you to give me your top answer for each. Okay. One answer, top answer for what are the pros if you take the approach that you just described to everybody. What are the pros that people will see?
Okay, so if people basically take this approach, number one, you're going to find yourself being the top salesperson, the top business leader in your company or in your field, right? And I tell people all the time, my bad, I know it's one word answer, but if you're not committed to being the top guy, the number one person in your company, or being in the top 10% of your field, you're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing because you can't be a Michael Jordan if you're focused on, okay, I kind of want to be like the best. I kind of want to maybe win a championship. No, you're either committed to win the championship or you're not. You're either committed to being the best in the game or you're not. And if you're committed to doing that and you're focused on a million other things, you can't be great. And it's okay to not be great. You could still make a living. You can still take care of family and all that stuff. But the people that are sought after, the people that people say, I will pay any price for your product, for your service. The people that say, I'll pay any price to have Beez as my mentor, only do it for the experts. You have to be in the top 1% of your field for you to be able to attract that type of caliber of a person, of a client, of a mentee. So anyways, you would basically become the top that's the pros. And then if you do it with your team, you'll have the ability to go from 1 restaurant to 2, and then from 2 to 5 and 5 to 10. Duplication is possible, right? But you got to have the right systems in place, and you got to have targets that people understand. Like, this is the standard that is required for me to maintain my place with this company. This is the standard that's required for me to elevate to a new position where I could take on a leadership role and take on some more responsibilities. And when you have people that have that mentality, that's where the exponential growth comes in. So that's where you can really scale. I love scaling through people, and I love scaling through finances. Like, you put your money to work. So that's it.
There you go. That's definitely, and then of course, the best way to scale in business is to acquire another one, and you roll it in.
That right there, man. Yeah, that was like a paradigm shift, man. We were talking about it, and I haven't dived into that world enough. So I'm excited to work on some stuff with you on that, man. And also to introduce you to my community too. I forgot to talk about it, but we have an event coming up. I'm gonna have you come out. But anyways, let's continue to get it popping, man. I know we're strapped on time. So opportunities
that will arise and come your way if you follow this method of creating a good leader.
Dope. So I tell people, here's how you know whether the goal you have is going to be a goal that's worth pursuing. I say, first, you got to have the goal. The ultimate goal is your vision. But along with the vision, what makes the vision powerful and what gives you the strength to follow through is understanding what's the impact of that vision becoming a reality, right? That vision becoming realized. So it's important to know what you want. And most people don't know what they want, which is why they never get it. But the second most important thing is understanding why you want it. And when someone says, I want to make $100,000 or I want to make $1 million, you have to go into the why. Why is it important? Why is it important for you to learn how to buy businesses, right? Why is it important for you to become a successful entrepreneur? And most people will find that the impact, the biggest reason why, will go outside and beyond themselves. And it's going to be that you're going to be a resource for affecting the lives of other people, whether they're your staff, whether they're your clients, or whether it's your community. And so the opportunities you have, if you commit to becoming the one and developing the next generation of leaders in your business, is not only will you become successful, but you're going to have the opportunity to impact, inspire the lives of other people. Your name will be remembered way beyond your time. You're going to get to be a legend. They're going to write books about you. They're going to write articles about you. People will watch your YouTube videos and go back to find you because of the fact that you had something that was valuable to other people. And when you basically get locked in with something that goes beyond yourself, that's where you'll find that you have extraordinary amounts of power inside of you that is going to give you the ability to really affect change way beyond what everyone else is doing. So
that's how you leave that legacy for sure.
Legacy, right? That's what it's about. Like, what do you want people to say about you long after you're gone? Yeah. What do you want written on your tombstone? This person was a father. This person was a daughter. This person was a best friend. Or this person was responsible for taking people out of financial bondage. This person was responsible for taking people outside of the matrix because they led by example and showed other people it was possible. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. So, okay, and then we got to get to the most important one. That's the problems. Some of the problems that you face along this journey.
Okay, cool. I tell people there's 3 problems. I know you said 1, but there's 3. And here's what they are. Number 1 is Rome wasn't built in a day. This stuff's not going to happen overnight, right? Everyone wants microwavable success. And it just doesn't happen that way. If it's easy, it's probably sleazy. If you try to take the shortcut, you miss the character development that you develop when you take the long road and you get hit by problems, setbacks, obstacles, failures, and rejections. Okay, so Rome wasn't built in a day is the reason why most people won't follow through. Number 2 is that most people are not willing to become what they must in order to create the new results. Like, you're going to have to change, right? If you want to get to somewhere else, you want to get somewhere new, you're going to have to change something. And what is it? It's yourself. And the last thing, 3rd, is the road to success. My mentor used to say, leads directly through the dump. Okay, so you got to understand that you're going to have to go through a lot of garbage. You're going to have to go through shit. You're going to have to go through the jungle. You're going to get stung. You're going to get bit by rattlesnakes. You're going to get chased by bears and lions and barracudas and all that stuff, right? I don't know how you get chased by a barracuda, but you crossing the river or whatever, you're gonna get chased by some barracudas, end up in some quicksand. But here's the thing: nothing that you go through is going to kill you unless you let it. You determine that, right? They're not gonna come and take off your arm because you end up in some debt. They're not gonna come and stab you in the heart because you have some people quit or because you failed to follow through on some of the clients. Everything has to be a learning experience. You got to take it as it comes. You got to develop thick skin. You got to keep moving forward. And by getting around the right environment of people like Beez, people like other people that are trying, people like Beez's community that are trying to affect change, rise up to new levels, become someone new, learn some new skills. Those people, that environment is what's going to help to pull the greatness out of you. The same way that if you wanted to commit to running a mile every single day, if you were out of shape, you won't do it if you're by yourself, unless you're already a naturally disciplined person. But if you sign up for a run club and you got people holding you accountable that are going to talk shit to you if you didn't show up that day, is going to inspire you to just take the action. And taking the action consistently over time is what affects change over a lifetime. So that's how that works.
Just to wrap it up, so you gave us the pros, you gave us the opportunities, and we went deep into the problems. Had a little technical difficulty, of course, but we understand what it really means. Now, I know we at the end of this, brother, but I got 2 quick gifts for you.
Oh, snap.
Thank you.
All right, dope. What do you got?
So team, let's get that first gift up for Karl, because I know Karl said that he want to tap in and start working with me at some point, and we're going to make things happen. And what you're doing with leadership is amazing. And then if you build a business, yes, you got to build a team, but if you acquire one,
you already bought your team.
You got that team. Now you leading them to the next level.
That's right.
So we found, based off of your background, based off of your location, based off of the things that my team did research on, we found some businesses for you that you might be interested in. Right. The first one is a business collection agency. Mm-hmm. And they're asking 1.2. They're keeping each year, 510K. They're grossing over 8 mil, almost 9 mil, 8.6. I don't like the profit margin that much, but it doesn't matter. It's about what you walk into, the profit that you walk into, the cash flow you walk into, right? Yeah. And you could do a lot to leverage that type of top line revenue of 8.6 million. Established in 1998, comes with 13 employees, already got a team that you could, fine tune even more. Would this be of any interest to you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That is dope, man. I'll take that all day. Why not?
We just gonna give it to you, give you the information. You can contact them directly yourself, or if you want to work with me, I got you. We gonna make this happen.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, I know that in order for me to become a master, I got to learn from the master. So we're definitely gonna be working together, and you got to just show me and point me in the direction for how I can make that happen smoothly. And we're gonna be making some moves, man. We're definitely gonna be making some moves. I love it. Thank you.
Let's put
I appreciate that.
We got another one for you. We got one more.
Okay, dope. Okay.
Let's see what the other one is, right? Mm-hmm. So mortgage lender business. You start talking about real estate and what you did in the past. And it was like, okay, well, look, we might have something for you right here. This one, they asking 1.8. They keeping over 800 a year, 800K a year. That's their EBITDA. Established in 2000 in Florida. We didn't have the list of how many employees on this one, but what do you think about this one?
No, that's beautiful right there, man. I mean, 2 things that all these business owners need, especially if you're in the world of real estate, right, is more money and more marketing, right? So you got the money aspect. You help people find that funding. Yeah, man, that's a valuable piece right there. I definitely see the value in that.
All right. Well, like I said, the team will send you all that information. And of course, we can tap in and I'll help you to get this done.
Love it.
Especially depending on how we approach it. It could be zero out of your pocket to get done.
Yeah, well, that's even better, right?
My brother. So Karl, thank you so much for joining us here on Entrepreneurship Exposed. Tell the people where they can find you, the best place to tap in with you.
Dope, man. If you guys want to find me, get connected with me at ksmith360.com. So that's K, the letter, Smith360.com. And I got some free resources and tools for you at ksmith360.com. You guys can go ahead and download. I got a couple ebooks that you guys can download for free. We got some events that are happening every single month that you can subscribe for. And if you leave us your email and phone number, you'll just get updates every single time we do an event. And what I want to do is for all the people that are tuning in and watching, I have another gift that I'll offer you guys. For those of you guys that have a project you're working on, career or business, or maybe it's just something personally, we offer discovery calls, right? Where it's basically a shorter version of our full strategy call. And for 30 minutes, I'll sit on the phone with you. Maybe one of my coaches will sit on the phone with you. Actually, I'll do it for you guys personally. You just basically, I'll give you the link to my calendar. But you guys have the ability to talk about what are some of the biggest challenges that you feel like you're going through. What do you feel like you can change in yourselves, right? In your leadership ability that will allow you to hit your ultimate goal that you have set up. So we'll help you crystallize your vision, solve those issues. I'll give you a blueprint that you can use and work on throughout the year if you really want to affect change and become greater at just killing it in this business. So that's going to be a free gift. Normally we charge $500 for that after I do an event and people want to basically get some time with me. That's going to be free for all of you guys. Just go to ksmith360.com. And then what you want to do is schedule a discovery call. And as long as in the notes, you basically put that you came from Beez, right? Beez's podcast or the EntrepreneurshipXposed podcast. One of those two things, I'll know exactly where it is that you came from and we'll set you up for that. All right.
Let's go. We'll make sure we put that information down in the description box for sure.
Let's go.
Thank you, brother, for showing up, for giving so much information, detailed information on what it truly means to have effective leadership and why it starts with self-leadership. And you just pretty much gave tangible steps on what people should do to start looking at that and building out great teams. So 100%. Thank you, bro, for all that
appreciate
you do.
That.
It's been a pleasure. Y'all already know what to do. Make sure you already are liking this episode. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you turn on if you're on YouTube, because you don't want to miss conversations like this. And we got so much more coming on Entrepreneurship Exposed. Everything about entrepreneurship with a twist of business acquisitions. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Let's go.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for having me on, man. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, man.